Welcome to the Expansive CEO podcast. I'm your host, Hannah Chapman, founder of Expansive CEO and X Squared Wealth Planning. Buckle in as we explore how to create true prosperity and build a business and a life that expands beyond yourself and makes a dent in the universe. Welcome, everyone, to this episode of the Expansive CEO podcast. I'm your host, Hannah Chapman, and today is another fireside chat with my executive assistant, Svetlana Lane, who is also an amazing entrepreneur herself and music studio owner, music teacher, amazing EA, all the things. And so I really appreciate these fireside chat episodes where you kind of get to interview me, also share your story. It's so much fun. So thank you for being here, Svetlana. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for boasting about me, even though we both know my flaws.
You know mine, right? Like no one's perfect. It's great.
That's very sweet. But I'm excited about this conversation today as we continue diving into the human design. And we're going to talk about how human design applies to business, since a lot of your podcast listeners are business owners. I think that would be a really great way to continue our conversation.
Yeah. And when we were talking about this before we started recording, right? It's more rather than going into like a specific topic and like dissecting it and saying everything about it. I would love to give just some examples of when it's worked, like just really like mind-blowingly, like, oh, business can be this easy. I didn't know it was meant to be this easy. Some of my own examples and then examples from friends and clients that have been using, these different strategies in their work as well. So, yeah, let's start there.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. I guess, and maybe in your own business, how have you learned to apply some of these principles, like your authority, for example, and the way you work with clients, or maybe the way you schedule your clients on your calendar, things like that. Maybe I'm kind of curious from how you've adjusted now that you've kind of grown in more knowledge of human design.
Yeah, so it's been a full 4 years at this point, a little bit more than that, that I have been really tapping into and intentionally, consciously making choices that are in alignment with my design. Again, I'm a 6-2 profile, sacral authority manifesting generator. And when I learned that, right, like I 4 years ago. I used the 4 years. I wanted to say that because the general wisdom is that it takes 7 years, 7 whole years of making intentional choices to create, like to really understand and work through what's called the deconditioning process in human design, so that you can really live as your true self instead of your not self. And we're going to talk about that in another episode, the not self. So
Mhm.
anyway, I say that to say, 4 years in of intentional practice, I still have some time to go. And at the same time, I'm more than halfway through this deconditioning process. And what I want to share about that also is that it gets easier and easier all the time. It's not this like daunting 7 year process. It's like, oh wow, it gets like through the first year, it got easier, second year, easier, third, right? Like it just keeps getting better. Um, and a conversation that I just had with a friend the other day, she might have even said it on the podcast actually, with my friend Jen Robertson, who was just on the podcast. She said, her uncle once told her, when she was deciding whether or not to go to vet school, he said, the time will pass anyway. Do you want to be a vet at the end of it or not? And it's
Mhm.
such a good reframe, right? Like if
Mhm.
you look at something and say, well, it's going to take 7 years, I'm not even going to do it. 7 years is going to happen.
Right on. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not going to, time isn't going to stop because something is going to take a while to get through, right? Or a degree or a course, or, the 6 months is going to pass anyway. The 4 years is going to pass anyway. Do you want to have finished this thing in the meantime?
Yeah.
So I love that. I love that perspective.
Too.
But with authority, especially, I think this is one of the most impactful things that I have learned for myself as sacral authority. Um, but then also I would say, in the sales process and then in the supporting my clients process. So we're talking about business. This applies to life as well, just all the time. But if we're talking specifically about business, really paying attention to someone's authority in the sales process and then when you are actively supporting your clients is so important. Um, when you are in a selling mode, you're on an exploration call, or even if you're, whatever your messaging is that you put out either on social media, marketing, whatever, you have to know that people have these different authority types. So, like, I'm sacral authority. That's that gut yes or no. I'm going to have a pulling reaction. I want to get a response. I want to give people with sacral authority something to respond to. Give them like a strong yes or no question so they can feel if they're a yes in, they're going to pull in. It's going to be similar with splenic authority, like you have, Svetlana, right? Like it's like an instant give something to respond to so you can have that instant body awareness of, ooh, does this make me feel good, like a yes, or does this make me feel like, no, no, no. Um, but then on the other side, we've got emotional authorities, which are more than half of the population,
Mhm.
and they do better with the open-ended questions. They have to go through, oh, this is going to be amazing. It's exactly what I need. And then, I don't know, like, I don't know if the price is right. I don't know if the timing is right. They have to go through all of that process before they can even come to a maybe yes or no.
Mhm.
There is not, there is no clarity in the now, is what is true for emotional authority beings. If it feels like a yes immediately, you got to pause. You cannot say yes immediately.
Mm.
And that's where a lot of regretful spending decisions come from.
Sure.
For especially for people with emotional authority, is they're on the high. They're like, "Oh yeah." And they say yes, and then they get through their next day or 2 days and they're like, "Oh man, I really should not have spent that money." Or this really wasn't the right thing. And I missed all these red flags, right? And then the other authorities, we have the self-projected authority for projectors. They need to talk it out. They need to hear themselves. It's like they'll talk until they're like, "Oh, I just figured it out."
Mhm.
That also goes for mental authority projectors. It's very similar. They also need to talk things out. And then ego authority is one of the, it's a rare authority, but you might have an ego authority. And then that's a very strong, like it aligns with your values. Things need to align with your strongly held values. And in your heart, right, that something is right or wrong.
Okay.
Um, and then the final one is reflectors, which are super rare, but they exist and we love them. They need to go through, if it's a big decision, 30 days, a full lunar cycle to feel into what's happening with a reflector is you're feeling all of the different authorities throughout the month. You need to talk it out in a supportive environment. You need to feel that gut yes or no. You need to go through, an emotional wave. Reflectors literally go through the entire spectrum over the course of a month. So what does that mean? If you're, moving and you need to buy a new house, if you are buying a car, um, if you are taking on a business partner, if you are making a huge pivot in your business, right? Those are the kinds of big decisions that really, really benefit for a reflector to take time.
Wow.
It doesn't necessarily mean like, you know, I need to make a meal plan. And I need to know what I need for day. You're not going to take 30 days for that. Uh, right. Or something that, it's for your budget. That's a if it's $100 and that's no big deal for your budget. You're like, yeah, that could be a yes or a no, but it's fine, right? It feels like a yes right now, so we're going to say okay, right? there's limits to this. But
So
yeah, any big decision.
how, I guess my question leads me to, or this, what you just said is leading me to this question of, then how do you kind of provide, like, what is your, on your end, what does your sales call or calls or whatever look like in order to like provide everybody with the information they need? And then how do you hold space for all the different kinds of decision making, authorities?
Yeah, that's such a good question. So lately, so over the last year and a half to almost 2 years now, um, I have been very clear that I use human design and gene keys in my process. And most of the people that have come to me at X Squared have been interested in that combination. And so that makes it super easy to where, if someone comes to me because they're like, you do human design and financial planning, and I need that, then I can be so easily say, can you tell me your design?
Mm-hmm.
What are the basics, right? And so maybe they'll tell me they're a 1-3 emotional generator. Great. I just learned most of what I need to know about how you're going to make a decision so that I can support you in that. Or they might, like you, I'm not going to get your profile lines right, but 2-4 splenic projector. All right, great.
I think that's what it
I
is.
think that's right. Did I get it?
Yeah.
I know you're a splenic projector. But right, that's going to tell me a lot of the basics. Again, the type, the authority, and the profile. Those are some of the basics that I can then use. And when I say use, I really mean um, utilize to support someone.
Yeah. Not
So,
manipulate the sale, but it, to have a really honest space, holding space and really just letting them be who they are in the process.
yes. Yes, and that's it's such an important and powerful distinction because I do get people and I've had people ask this question in that way, like, okay, but how do I use this to make it easier to get sales? I'm like, nope, whoa, nope, back it up. Back
Yeah.
up that energy because that is manipulative
Yes.
and that is completely out of integrity. And if you start using it to manipulate people, it will like that will come back at you. Like that's definitely my belief is that like if we the intention with which we utilize this information is going to impact
Right.
that relationship with that client. And so for me, I create really strong relationships with my clients. They're long term. If I have a coaching, even like coaching relationships with clients that are a little bit shorter than like financial planning relationships, which tend to be many, many years, um, even those coaching relationships, that relationship lasts longer than the, 3 months or 6 months that I'm in with that person.
Yeah.
And I don't want that energy of I've manipulated you into this because I know about your design to be anywhere part of the process.
I
So,
completely understand. I feel like that also in my music studio, I feel the same way. Like these are relationships I really hold near and dear, and they're not here so I can milk them for their money, you know?
yes.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah. And so when we look at it from the lens of how can I best support you? If someone comes to me and they're an emotional authority and maybe they've been listening to the podcast, maybe they've been watching me on social media for a long time. And I give this as an example because it's literally happened. This is not a hypothetical. Um, in the sales call itself, we're going to go through a lot of okay, how is this going to be really beneficial to you? What are the ways that you really want to feel supported? What's important for you right now? Why is this important for you? Right? Let them talk about what's happening in their life that's going to change when they get through this process. And then on the negative side, okay, It's going to, this process costs X amount of dollars and it takes X amount of time
Mhm.
to go through it. How does that feel to you? What's
Mhm.
coming up? What reservations do you have? Notice I'm not overcoming objections here either.
Right.
I'm not trying to fish for reasons why, like poke around for why they want to say no. I'm genuinely curious how they're feeling, what their reaction is to the information that I'm sharing.
Mhm. So you're helping them make the right decision for them. So you're
Right.
helping them become aware of things that maybe they wouldn't be aware of otherwise, and you're just giving them like vocabulary of sorts to be able to describe that, and you respect if it ends up being a no, right? Because it's like the bet maybe it wasn't going to be a good fit, or but that's really what determines that, not necessarily a twisting of the arm.
Exactly, exactly. So, and then we didn't even get to the most important part for the emotional authority though, is that I don't I don't take an answer. Like we can talk about like what are you feeling right now? If they're like, I'm feeling really good about it. I'm like, okay, take that. Go be in your own energy for a day. You go away from me because right now my energy is also affecting the situation, right?
Yeah.
You are being imprinted by me, so I want you to go away from my energy and go be with yourself. And whatever, if things come up, so especially emotional authority, if things come up that you have like, oh, but what about this? Oh, I forgot to ask about that. Oh, I'm concerned about this thing. Send me an email. You are free to send anything that you want and like let's talk about it so that you can feel 100% confident.
Yeah.
I have not had one emotional authority person um not be like 100% all in once they're in because they're like they most of the time have never ever had the experience of someone respecting and showing them their own process.
Hmm. And after they work through that, yeah, just that alone
Hmm.
is huge. That's really
Right.
cool.
Because the other thing it's doing is that it's setting us up to for me to help them understand their process for other financial decisions
Yes, right.
because it's not there even in the sales call it's a practice, right? You have to practice your authority. You have to, like, I have to practice my sacral authority. I have to practice listening to it. You have to practice listening to your splenic authority,
Hmm.
right? It's not something that we just learn about and then, like, oh, now I've got it. It's like learning how to hit a baseball. Okay, but you have to practice it like 1,000 times
Yeah.
until it's like easy and comfortable, right? It's the exact same thing. Um, so that I used emotional authority as an example because again it's more than half of the population, um and generally people with emotional authority when they're on a sales call with someone who's like I need an answer now, I really want to know now, I really want to close the sale, right? They're constantly being pushed to make a decision now.
Yes. And nice people like me who are people pleasers will buy because I want to make them happy. It is
Right.
like this such a deeply ingrained thing for me. So I have to be very careful. Like I actually have to practice like walking away from things.
Yes.
Like picking it up, enjoying it at the store, put it down. That was fun, and now I have to walk. Think or like or when or not even at the store, like at a farmer's market when the artisan is sitting right there watching you, hold their things. Like you have to. I don't know. I'm going on a tangent, but I feel that in so many ways, as a buyer, like I am easily manipulated into trying to make
Right.
something happen or make the buy. Like yeah, so this is great information for all of us.
Yes, yeah, and so when you know that, right, like it's like, so if we were in a sales conversation, you and I would ask you, what's coming up? What are you feeling right now? Like how like take the temperature of
Mhm.
what you're feeling. And if you like can tap into your body like I feel good, I feel calm. Okay, let's keep going.
Yeah.
Right? And then tap in again later because that splenic authority is going to like give you hits and spikes. Or if I notice, right? I always do video. I hate like a phone call. I'm not a phone call person, first of all. So don't call me. Don't call me. Video.
Neither is Gen Z.
Oh, I know. I know. It's not the best. No, I'm forget that. Like I don't like phone
That's
calls.
not who you are.
I love video. I
Yeah.
love video calls. I can be on a video call with someone for 90 minutes and not like without blinking, right? It's so easy, but also because I'm reading your body language,
Yes. Yes.
right? So if I notice you like kind of like shrinking up or like crunching up or moving back, that's a clue to me, hey, something's coming up. What are you feeling right now? And just keep inviting it into the room rather than the normal, right? Which in a sales process, normally people are like, oh, we just gotta ignore that, make them happy again, make them happy again.
Mm,
Nope.
right. Yeah. So good. So, what are some ways that you've just changed operations in your business based on your human design as well? Just to transition a little bit from the sales
Yeah.
call.
Yeah. Changed up operations. So the thing that is probably the next biggest piece is like, what's your strategy? So for me as a generator type, it's to respond. It's to respond to the things that are coming to me.
Okay.
And then to act on that. So what does that mean? Someone sends me an email or I'm in a group setting and someone sends me a like, "Oh, hey, I'd love to connect with you." That is a flag for a response, right? That's something coming at me that I can then feel my sacral authority. That's how those work together. So it comes in, the information comes into me, I feel that response. So my sacral response is, oh, hell yeah. Or, no, no, that doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Um, and so the practice part is acting accordingly. So same thing if you have splenic authority or any other authority, right? Like your when that thing comes in for you to respond to as a generator, you feel into. So as a generator, you're either going to be emotional or sacral, right? Caveat. But you're going to feel that. So I feel into all of these different things that are coming at me, and then I choose. I choose what I want to do. I do have literally in my calendar system, I have clients that are regular, right? They have a regular monthly meeting.
Mhm.
And so that's set on the calendar already. Um, when people schedule, right, there are different scheduling opportunities on my different websites. If someone wants to do a get to know you call, they can, get onto my calendar that way. And I will get an email about that. So what do I even from the first email, if an email hits my inbox and I go and look at it, that's something for me to respond to. And I can feel if that's something that I need to do something about, if I want to do something about it, or if I'm like, ugh, that feels terrible. I can't even respond to that right now. And I act accordingly. Like I allow where before the type A, get everything done, inbox zero person
Yeah.
that I was before, it was like, I just have to power through, do like say yes to everything, power through. I don't have to say yes to a freaking thing anymore.
Mm.
If everything feels like a no, I can say no to it. I mean, Svetlana, you see my inbox all the time. I get every single day, I get people like pitching to be on the podcast.
Mhm.
99.9% of the time, it's an absolute no. I don't have to have those people on my podcast. Not that they're bad people. I'm not saying anything like that, but I get to choose. And
Truly,
every,
you don't have to. Yeah, in a
right?
yeah,
Where if I was still in, like I said, people pleasing mode,
mhm,
I have to say yes. Like, what if I'm missing an opportunity? No, I don't have to respond to those messages. I don't owe a response to anyone. I don't owe someone my time at
mhm,
any point. Like that is mine. That is my boundary.
mhm.
And that what I do, why I do that is because that's what keeps me from burning out. That's what
Right.
keeps me safe in my energy.
Interesting. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hadn't really put that together until this conversation really like how much I used to say yes to everything and feel like I had to say yes to everything, even when it was a no, when my gut was like, blah, that's gross. No, I would still
Sure.
say yes.
Yeah, because we're supposed to be agreeable, and yeah, I find that with my emails sometimes, if it's like an email that sort of triggers me a little bit or gives me anxiety, I respond too fast, and I don't let myself regulate, like come down, take a breath, think about something else, take a walk, and then respond in a more like cohesive. So then I'm like, quickly reply. I replied with a quick sentence. Hey, oh, then I add another one. By the time I actually thought through it, that person received like 5 replies in a row from me, like adding on and adding on. And anyway, that's happened several times.
Yeah,
I'm
yes.
learning that doesn't work for me either.
Right. Yeah. So taking that pause because again, yeah, you're like um this goes with a couple of different things, right? So that, I mean, there's our human design, and then if we've been through any trauma in our lifetime, that's also going to cause another layer of response, right? So emotional regulation within the process
Yeah.
is absolutely key. So like those two things go together, like emotional and nervous system regulation absolutely makes it easier to respond to your human design
Hmm.
when you're not in like literal flight, fight or freeze or
Or
fawn,
fun. Hmm.
right? Yes, yeah. That's a huge aspect of it. And I think that's really important too.
Yeah. That's really neat how it's now kind of shifted how you use your energy to respond to invitations. And I know that you've said for me, is it because I'm a projector that it's more like I kind of almost have to wait for the invitation? Is that what you're saying? Like, right?
Yes, yeah, with projectors especially because projectors the way that your aura I love there are a couple of images, maybe I'll find an image that we can use for this, but like a generator aura, think of like here's your little human body is like big and they have a large enveloping welcoming aura. So generators, people are attracted to generators because they're like, ooh, like you seem like a person I want to be around. It just happens all the time. It's not
Yeah.
to say it never happens to projectors or manifestors or reflectors, but it is very, very common for generator types. Where projectors, on the other hand, it's like your aura is almost like cone shaped,
Hmm.
and you have a penetrating aura. So when you're with people, it can feel intense. Like your energy can feel intense to people, and they don't know why. But like if you have pointed questions,
Hmm.
right? Just if you're just curious and you just think you're asking questions, they might actually feel like you're like really penetrating. Like, oh, you're kind of intense. Like, what's going on?
That is
Versus,
true.
has that been true for you?
Yes. Even yesterday, I was asking, there was a woman who brought her dog to the studio like for 5 minutes, and I was like, "So, what's it like to travel with your dog? So, what have the people? What are the flight crews pretty friendly? Are the people?" And I'm just like berating her with these questions about traveling with her dog. Anyway, so that actually, I just experienced that. Okay, so
Yes.
projectors, we can be kind of intense with our questions.
Right. So, and what's so funny about this too, um, I heard this recently. I think it's so beautiful and such, again, it's so important to know if you're working with clients what their type is. They tend to, so Svetlana, you need to be asked questions
Hmm.
because that's the invitation. And so what do you normally do? You ask other people questions because that's what you want to receive.
That's true.
Right. So we do that. It's the same. Like we put out bids for attention and bids for love in the ways that we want to receive it.
Hmm.
Just naturally. Not that we're trying. Again, we're
Yeah.
not trying to manipulate anyone. Just naturally, that's what you're going to do. So projectors tend to pepper people with questions
Mhm.
because what you crave receiving those questions because that means someone is seeing you and inviting you into the conversation.
That's true. It's really cool.
Yeah. And so for yes, for projectors, the hardest thing I think to learn for projectors is to wait for that invitation.
Hmm.
So to wait for someone else to ask a question, um, which can be a dance also, right? Because it's like, um, how do you,
You
this
got
is
a
the question
business
that I get.
to run.
Right. You have a business to run. How am I supposed to, like, that tends to be the
Wait
question
for
when,
people to come and buy.
right? Just wait. So no, so what do you do as you project out what you do. So literally on like the back, you've got your Wellspring music, like says exactly what you do right on the building.
That's true.
You are literally projecting out, like, here's our summer offerings. Literally, here's the flyer. You can take it. You're projecting out what you do.
Yeah.
And people
Well,
come
respond.
ask you questions,
They do.
right? So that is absolutely one of the ways for projectors in any field, right? You get to talk about or tell the world what you do, and then those people who are ready for you come in and ask because they can sense that you are a powerful guide in that way,
Hmm.
right? And they want to be around you. And it's when they allow that penetrating aura, when they're like, yeah, I want you to see me because I want you to help me,
Hmm.
then it's welcomed.
Hmm. That's true.
Yeah.
What about some other types of authorities? Or
Yeah.
not authorities. This is not authority anymore.
No, that's not the word. That's type.
That's the type. Yes.
Yeah, aura type. Manifestors. The other two are, there's a pure generator and a manifesting generator. We talked about the enveloping aura. Manifestors have what's called a repelling aura.
Can't
And
say.
right, so they are like the bowling ball.
Oh.
Like everyone out of my way. And they tend to get, even as children, people think they're intense in a different way, in a
Okay.
different way from projectors, like intense in like, are you mad at me? Like,
Okay.
and like, I kind of like want to like be in a different room, right? So they can feel a little bit isolated. And I have clients who are manifestors who, when we talk about it, like they're like, oh yeah, that
Oh.
was my life. Right.
Wow.
Which is hard.
But
To
now
think
they're seen. Now they're being seen.
now they are being seen, right? And it's like because you are here to initiate and inform and initiate. You're here to have these new ideas and like put these brand new ideas out into the world and then initiate a team that can help you, that can come alongside you. But you are like carving the path. Manifestors carve a new path.
Hmm.
They're very, very powerful. Um,
That makes sense.
and right, but it can be very lonely and isolating if you don't understand that about yourself. And you're like, I don't know why people always move away from me on the train, or, like
Hmm.
even little stuff like that. Like people are tell me they're intimidated by me, and I don't know why. I'm not trying to be intimidating, things like that are super common for manifestors. And again, like so in my business, when I know that about someone, I can help I can help them understand themselves better so that they can go out and represent themselves to the world in the most authentic, effective way.
Yeah. And be confident with that. And how would you say those types of individuals sometimes would need to manage their business relationships differently than like like you who's just like a ball of glowing light? If they're a little bit more bowling bally, do you think a business owner who tends to be it's a manifester, right? Is maybe how can they be true to themselves and yet maybe manage that with their clients? Or I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there.
Yeah,
See, do you have any thoughts?
it's such a good question. It's such a good question. So one like really wonderful example I have, a client, I love her. She's amazing. Um, when she is in, so manifestors go through creative cycles and rest cycles. And those rest cycles, like you got to rest. There's not that the creative cycle, it takes up so much energy that then there's usually a period of rest. And so what does that look like in business? For her, what we've noticed over the last year is that she'll have these bursts of inspiration and readiness to create a new offering. So whether that's like the end of last year, it was to create a retreat. And she had this burst of creative energy. She was so excited about it. She had clients who were asking about it, like asking if she was going to do one. And so as we worked through that, and she was just so lit up. She was so excited, and she filled the retreat with like no problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then the retreat happened, and it was wonderful. But she was a little bit on her down cycle. So that would be maybe the next time is like, oh, maybe it needs to be a little closer in, right? Maybe the time frame needs to be a little bit shorter so that you're still in your creative process rather than like tailing down into your rest process.
Mm.
Um, but that like
Okay.
made money. It was amazing. Same thing with other offerings through the year. When she has that burst of, okay, here's the thing. I'm super excited. I have these people around me who are ready for it. Let's go. And
Mm-hmm.
then she delivers the thing and it's amazing. But then then there are times where it's more just maintenance, like maintenance clients,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of like that rest period. And
Cool.
so, yeah, learning those cycles is really important.
Yeah. And being okay with wherever you are and recognizing that that's kind of how you're wired to do your business in a sense, right? And
Yes. Yes. And not thinking, so here's the
there's
important
something
piece.
different.
Right. Yeah. From the financial standpoint, how do we manage the finances in a way
Hmm.
that supports that ebb and flow of energy?
Right.
That's one piece, right? So that's a literal like what do we do with the money to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that you are supported throughout the whole year, even though you kind of have ups and downs. Um, and yes, when you are on the rest period, that you're not then beating yourself up constantly for not being in the creative period.
Mm. Yes, for sure. That's so cool. Is there another type that we
Yeah. So, well, with projectors, we didn't really talk about projectors too much. Projectors don't have, and manifestors and reflectors, all three of these types, do
okay.
not have sacral energy.
Oh, okay.
And so, sacral energy is only generators and manifesting generators. That is life force energy. That is the energy that, like, literally makes humanity go round. Right? It's our sexual energy. It's our life energy. It's everything. And people, that's one of the reasons that we have that enveloping aura is because people are, they need that energy. They need to tap into that for a lot of reasons. But so projectors, reflectors, and manifestors do not have that. They're about 30% of the population overall between those three. Generators are about 70%. So that means you, as a projector, you have to find ways to give yourself rest.
Mhm.
And you, Svetlana, that's the one thing. Like, that's one one of the up levels for you. We need to figure out how to get you more rest time.
You keep
right?
on saying that to me on this podcast.
I know, because I love you. Um, and but that's yes, as a projector, you don't have that sacral energy that can go all the time, right? You can be plugged into that and you can respond to that. And it's not that you don't have energy of your own, but you do as a projector, you need to be able to have a little bit more downtime than generator types.
Yes, it's true. It's true though. It's true. When I finally do get downtown, I'm like, wow, I feel so good. I just
Yes, yeah. And that's, I mean, that goes for, so my husband, I've talked about him too. He's a manifester and he feels it. He'll start to feel like shaky if he's had, two, three, four, I mean, it can be months and months truly, but even after like 3 or 4 weeks of like intense pushing every day, just in general, work, life, whatever,
yeah.
he'll start to feel like, and it's like, you just need to take a day off and do nothing. Take and he knows he's experienced it. He's like, when I take one day off and do nothing, the
Yeah.
next 3 or 4 weeks are amazing.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, yeah, then do that. Like, yes, support yourself. And so me knowing, again, being his wife, knowing that that's a thing about him as a manifester, I can be like, oh yeah, let's like make you a little cocoon. He loves when he's sick, he loves to go in the basement and watch Lord of the Rings, like black out the window, black out everything, and just sit like fully blacked out basement watching Lord of the Rings and just like curled up, right?
So our generation.
Right, I know. And so I told him that the other week. I was like, "Hey, what if you just take a day off and go lock yourself in the basement and watch Lord of the Rings?" He's like, "That would be amazing." Like, okay, need to pencil that in for you.
That looks like for him. That's sweet.
Right. And so just knowing, right? So knowing that about yourself and giving yourself that gift
Yeah.
rather than seeing that as some sort of deficiency or weakness.
Yes. Yes. For sure.
And so
That
in business, like running your business too, being like, you know, I have a couple of days in the next week that are free right now. I'm going to block that day off entirely so that I can sit in the basement and watch Lord of the Rings. Do nothing. Right? Like proactively planning that into your schedule.
Yeah, that is something I majorly struggle with. Just feeling like I'm so responsible. I have so many responsibilities. And so that is so watching a movie, that's like not even on my radar of things, you know. Um,
Right.
but also when I do get even a little glimpse of rest, it's like, wow, what a huge difference it is. I'm way more energized to do the work in front of me. I do it more efficiently, you know,
Mhm.
I do it with more joy. So I do find that for sure to be the
Yeah.
case for me too.
Yeah. And it's so beautiful. I mean, it really, really is. And then reflectors are very similar in that they don't have the sacral response or the sacral life force energy consistently. And so they're the same with the caveat or the difference for reflectors being that they really like they're very, very sensitive to their environment. And so when they're resting, it needs to be in an environment that feels good. And we
Okay.
all we all know what that means, right? For us, like for me, that like a very noisy environment is not restful, right? It's like I don't need silence, but like if there's just like if I'm in a crowd, if I'm like at a busy restaurant and I can't like hear, that's not restful for me. That's like more activating. Where for some people they might love that, and there are also spoiler alert, there are things in your human design that tell you that too. Like if you love being in the mix of things or if you like more
That's
spaciousness, all of that. Um, so yeah, like really for reflectors, really tapping into the environment and being a place that feels good to them is super important.
why are they
Um,
called reflectors? What are they reflecting?
you,
Gotcha.
they are like,
They are reflecting the environment in a sense when they're resting. Is that?
Yes, because reflectors have no defined centers. So there are nine centers on the body graph, right?
Mhm.
There are nine, shapes. All of them are white. They don't have a single defined center at all. And so when you look at defined versus undefined centers, so all of your white centers, if you pull your chart and see where you have white centers, that's where you take in information from your environment and bounce it back out. It's where you're reflecting your environment. And so a reflector only, that's all they do.
Mm.
They take in so much information from everyone around them and then reflect it back to them, reflect it back out to those other people. So they make exceedingly good guides, coaches, providers, therapists, anything where you're like really reflecting back to someone
Mhm.
who they are. That's very, very natural for reflectors. Um, can be for anyone. So if you look at your chart, you can be a generator with lots of open centers. Projectors tend to have lots of open centers. Um, Anywhere where you're open or undefined, you are taking in a lot of information and then reflecting back out to the world. So that's one way to look at it. But again, reflectors are about 0.9 to 1% of the population. So it's a
Yeah,
little bit, but I have met them. I know some. So they're not,
they exist.
they exist. Yeah. What was the other? So in business, yes, like really managing and matching your schedule and your rhythm to who you are, to your type. That's also so impactful. Um, yeah, yeah, the being able to say no to things that feel like a no for a generator type, generator or manifesting generator, that is where you can do your best work.
Hmm.
Because when you're saying yes to things that when you really mean no, you're not you're not engaged. That's when generators burn themselves out. So we talk about burnout for the other types. Generators burn themselves out when they are saying yes to everything when they really mean no to at least half of it.
Mm.
Because our life force energy, other people are getting our life force energy. They're sucking it out of us. And we're like, I didn't want to give that away. I didn't want to give that piece away.
Yes. There, it reminds me of, do you know Bluey?
No, I have never, I know of Bluey.
It's
I
so
haven't
cute.
watched it.
Well, there's
It's so good.
It just reminds me of that episode where Bingo got a yes no button at the store, and she had like, she was trying, everybody made her say yes to stuff that she didn't want to do. And then mom says, Bingo, are you saying, is your voice saying yes when your inner voice is saying no? It was just so sweet. So it
Oh,
kind of reminds me of that, just
she's
really,
a generator.
yeah, she's a generator.
Your no button. No. No means no. It's so, so important. So and okay, I'm aware of the time too. I want to make sure we um, wrap up, but I literally could talk about this for
I know, it's so
2 more hours.
good. Well, if any listeners have more questions about this, how human design can apply to running your business, we'd love to hear them. But also, let's tell everybody again about how they can get their free human design chart.
Yes. Okay. So I'm so excited about this. This is available on the Expansive CEO website. So just go to expansiveceo.com. And there are a couple of places on the website you can go. It says Discover Your Design. You click that button, and then you can get your human design chart straight from the website for free. You can and pull your spouse if you know your spouse or your partner's information. Pull their information if you know your kids' information. Pull their chart. Pull all the charts. There, it's totally free. Super excited for that. It will ask for, just so you know, in case you haven't gleaned from this conversation, it's going to ask for your name, your email, and your birth information, your birth date, time, and place. So I want to say, like, make it abundantly clear. We are getting the email information. I am not getting your birth information. That does not come to Expansive CEO. That stays within the tool itself. I don't see that. But I do get your email information. You'll get a little welcome email from me. But if you want to unsubscribe, that's cool too. Whatever you want to do, it's totally cool. I'm good because I know the people who want to keep moving forward with me will come to me with something and I'll get to respond to it. Um, but yes, I'm very excited about that. And lots of people have pulled their charts um, on the website. So it's very cool to see that tool being utilized.
Yeah.
Um, and again, yes, for your kids, for your partner, your spouse, your mom, your dad. If you ever wondered why are my parents like that, find their birth information.
True.
Right? It'll answer some questions, most likely. You'll be like, oh, yep, I get it. Um, but yes, that tool is there and available. And as are a lot of other products and services on the Expansive CEO website. So I would love, love, love any feedback that people have. If you take any of the courses, if you do the money story meditation, if you do the niching course, any of it, I love hearing from you, hearing what your experience is, how it's going. If you have questions, send those over. You can either get me at Hannah, HANNAH, at expansiveceo.com, or you can email support at expansiveceo.com as well. Anything else? Did I miss anything?
I was just gonna say, if you catch this episode in time, there's a launch party the day it comes out.
Yes. Well, day after. Day
Oh,
after.
the day after it comes out. So
Yes. So if you're listening to this on Tuesday, March 25th, I think, the launch party for Expansive CEO is
tomorrow.
March 26th. Yes. So tomorrow, Wednesday, March 26th. So super excited about that as well.
Yep. Well, thank you so much, Hannah. This was a great conversation.
Thank you, Svetlana. I appreciate you, and I can't wait to do it again next time.
Too.
That's it for this episode. Thanks for listening, and be sure to like and subscribe. And again, if anything resonated with you from this episode, I would love to hear from you. Email me at Hannah, HANNAH, at expansiveceo.com and tell me about it. And if you're ready for your greatest expansion, you can find ways to work with me at expansiveceo.com and at x2wealthplanning.com. That's X, the numeral 2, wealthplanning.com. So until next time, remember that there is enough, you are enough, and your birthright in this lifetime is to be expansive.